This is the Realty Classroom Podcast, episode number 172. 4 reasons real estate agents are terrible telemarketers. Are you a real estate agent with an entrepreneurial spirit who wants to turn your job into a business without sacrificing your lifestyle, but you just can't seem to find the right plan or any plan to help you get there? Well, then, hey, you are definitely in the right place. I'm Danny Griffin, the founder of the Realty Classroom and the host of this podcast. And to help you take immediate action to get started in the right direction, I've created a free jumpstart course for you at freeagentgift.com. All right, let's get started. 4 reasons why real estate agents are terrible at telemarketing. So the first point here, and by the way, this is something that I've learned over a long period of time, that you really have to understand that, first of all, telemarketing or outbound calls or being able to properly receive an inbound call is everything in real estate. You can't sit around waiting for something to happen. You have to be able to make an outbound call. A lot of agents come to me all the time and they ask me questions all about, how do I get business? And actually today, even a mortgage broker asked me the same thing. How do I get business to happen? And I'm going to tell you, one of the best mediums, after all these years of doing it and coaching it, is an outbound call, telemarketing. Phone, marketing your message and your solution for buyers, sellers, and if you're a recruiter, agents. So how do we get better at this stuff? Well, and by the way, I will tell you that every Friday at 1 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time for years now, I have given away live training as I train telemarketers in all of the top producing teams and companies that I coach, including my own. So it's a giveaway. You could go to anywhere in social media world, Facebook, YouTube. I don't know if we post all of them on Instagram too, but Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and you can see the recordings of me teaching this. And you'll see, because you can hear live calls. These are live training calls. Really, the consumer's the boss. So this isn't some theoretical thing I'm making up here. This is from the work that I actually do and has really changed the way that I see this business. So let's go through the points here. The first one is, why are they terrible? Well, number one, they don't first choose an ideal avatar. Let me give you an example. Historically, I have been in and around coaching programs that taught marketing. Direct response marketing, meaning an ad was placed in a newspaper, for example, as a classified ad. A direct response came in and you would have to answer the phone or call them back, whatever you might do. But not a lot of thought was put into, well, why are we doing that? Who are we attracting? Why are we going to the newspaper? And why are we saying what we're saying? Are we just doing that because we can get a lead? This strange obsession with leads at any cost takes the whole industry in a wrong marketing direction to begin with. Really, think about it. If you're trying to start a business, you really have to have a vision for the person who's your ideal customer. You'll hear the word avatar. And avatar is a good, strong, powerful marketing word that really means ideal customer, ideal client, ideal prospect, lead, even ideal lead. Just the sense of ideal, the ideal human that you want to do business with. And you have to choose that. And some of the tips that I learned from the body of work that Michael Gerber did in the E-Myth really stems from, well, how do you choose the best avatar? Well, the first question you have to ask yourself is, how does the business really work? Let me pull this all together for you, okay? So you have the framework right so you can become a great telemarketer. And simple, by the way. There's no rocket science here as usual. So the idea is that if you ask yourself, how does the real estate agency business really work? And I don't mean going out and recruiting agents. I mean, how do you get buyers and sellers to do business with you? And so this whole concept is around the multiple listing service, which is the marketplace. And in there live all of the listings, right? So the ideal avatar, if you're an agent, is a seller. It's not even a buyer. It's a seller, because without MLS and a place to put listings, there is no place for the buyer agent to easily go in and match their buyer up with current inventory. So he or she who controls the listing is in a pretty good spot. Right? So really, that's why I say for years, I was just choosing the avatar that marketing was getting me and I was dealing with it, but I wasn't really thinking through, well, is that the business I want? And when I finally had the smelling salt moment, I could say, well, before we call anybody, let's at least start to target sellers in a better way. So the ideal avatar was a seller all of a sudden. Then geographically speaking, I realized they were all over the place. And I was spread too thinly geographically, so why didn't I make that smaller? So I just went into MLS and tried to figure out how many transactions and sides were enough, chose a geography that had that number, by the way. I think it's about 1,000 sales. That's 2,000 sides. It's a big enough area typically where there's enough business for you to be productive and begin to telemarket and market in general. So that's how I started to really be strategic about deciding on the avatar. And it doesn't mean that I don't want to pursue an ideal buyer. I mean, the ultimate matchmaker is good at both. But you have to lead with the thought of ideal avatar in general before just randomly going out there, because it got pretty ugly during the recession in the world that I was in, being coached by and coaching within. It was all about this distress sale. Just because we were in a recession, does that mean all of a sudden good, medium, and above priced houses stop selling? Not at all. Go back and look at your statistics in your MLS if you experienced the recession of 2008, 9, which echoed into 10, 11, and even 12. Go back and look. There were plenty of great properties that still sold. It's not all of a sudden this garbage business where it's nothing more than like these foreclosed homes that have been beaten to death, stripped out of copper and all these crazy things. That's a perception. That's a misperception. So you have to first choose, no matter what the circumstances are, ideal avatar. The second point is, once you've chosen that, so let me walk you along my own process being transparent. So I give you a real example. As I began to think, okay, I need sellers who own the median or above priced property in the geographies, a couple of them, a certain part of Cape Cod, which was really the middle, and then downtown Boston, a couple of real strong neighborhoods, Beacon Hill, Back Bay, probably a couple others on top of that, but especially those two. So that was really the beginnings of me starting to see avatar. But then I had to consider, okay, what problem does a seller who owns the median or above property in those areas have? What do they have? Well, one of the obvious problems that I could see was they couldn't sell it, right? That they had tried in the marketplace, put their listing with an agent into the MLS, and it didn't sell. Well, that was one pretty obvious problem. Another obvious problem on the sell side was when somebody passed and somebody else took over for the property, also known as the administrator of the estate, and they could get confused. And the problem was, well, what do? I'm halfway across the country. I'm out of state. I don't even know how to take care of this property. And sure, I have an attorney, but they're not really helping me with the property itself. There was another example. So all of a sudden, I was able to see that my ideal avatar could have different contexts. So I could have somebody that owned or was in charge of owning now a property in that area at or above the median price. And I considered they had several problems. So the next point is, I'm kind of zipping through this because it's really not that hard. See how formulaically I approach things? Well, now here they are. So most realtors never think these first two steps, and then they certainly don't think that I better create a what-to-do solution for both of those and whatever else I'm after. Well, what do you mean, a what-to-do solution? Well, the whole concept in marketing that's very powerful and proliferated a lot during the advent of the internet was to give away your best what-to-do information product for free. Now, that's not new because of the internet. That had to exist in some of the greatest minds down on Madison Avenue in New York. The whole idea of direct response marketing is that you could respond to something and you could get a free brochure, or you could get a free report, or you could get something free in the mail and they don't as explicitly say it as I do, but it's the what to do solution, right? This is what to do. And people say, well, why would I do that? Because, that's giving away. No, it's not. Stop in your mind's eye. Anybody with half of a brain could do some study these days on Google, Bing, wherever they do their thing, right? That rhymes. So whatever they do, they want to go out there and they want to look and they say, okay, well, how do I sell my house? And there is going to be somebody out there, especially somebody like me, that's going to have put together a what-to-do solution so that if they really, really wanted to sell their house by themselves or buy one by themselves or become an agent without me, I have created a solution in the form of an information product. And what I have done is simply put the major chunks or major steps that you'll go through when you sell a house, when you buy a house, or when you build an agency, business for yourself. And I mean just a singular agent, which expands, by the way, to agency. So I created these. I sat down, I put big chunks. I wrote what I would say to these people as I went through it, and I turned them into a booklet. And I had what's called an information product, just like that. So that any of these avatars that I was able to telemarket or make a call to, I would have something to offer them. And that brings me to the last point here, right? Is that agents don't follow a script that serves first and asks second. So let's pull this together in this systematic approach. And again, if you want to hear me coach this and you want to see this live, just go to Facebook for the Realty Classroom page, like it so you can, be updated, but also it's right there for you to listen. You might think I'm pretty harsh. Excuse me, I get excited. You might think I'm pretty harsh when I coach, but I'm trying to get rid of all of the fat and all of the noise and cut to the chase because the consumer is getting an outbound call that's interrupting their life. And they have no idea why we're doing it if it's an outbound cold lead. Now, sometimes they might have called in and we pick up the phone and we answer them. We had one of those today on the sales training call, telemarketing call. But really, I follow a script that serves first. Let me pause that there. So all of this stuff that I just went through gets me to the point where now I'm ready to script myself. See, I can't believe how many scripts have been written for telemarketers that don't consider the consumer. They consider how to get the consumer to do what they want them to do. Now, I understand that's business 101 to a certain extent, right? Well, what's he talking about? Of course you want that. Yes, it's not that you don't want them to do what you want them to do. It's how you get there. That's everything. How you get there matters. And so if you think about all this altruistic way of doing that, people start to think, well, that's soft. It's squishy. No, it's not. It's super aggressive, but it's smart. Because there is not one bone in my body that doesn't want to do more business. But I want to do it the right way, because what I want to leave in my wake as I go through all of this is I want to leave people better than I found them. What's wrong with that? You think that's squishy? You think that's not right? I think it's the highest calling. And I think it's the biggest challenge to be able to behave like that in business and win on a large, scalable platform doing that. And we do. And we coach it. And it works anywhere, not somewhere, anywhere, right? So now all of a sudden, the script sounds like this. Now, remember my couple of examples. We have the expired listing was a seller with a problem. I know exactly that they own the medium price. I know that they're in the geography. Probate's a little trickier. It needs a little bit more analysis to see if that property might be in the right location. So it's not as easy as the expired, but let's presume for the sake of the argument it is. Sally, this is Danny Griffin calling from Griffin Realty Group. The reason I'm calling is because I noticed your beautiful house online and I noticed it didn't sell. So I'd like to send you some information that will help you sell it the next time. May I do that? Boom. But with total confidence. And by the way, as I'm sitting here recording this, I'm in my office and here's the package that gets sent. It's an information package. It's an information product and it's nice and it's big. And when it arrives in your mailbox, it has weight. It has impact, and it serves. Because if you get one of those packages from my company or somebody that's coached by us, you're going to get a direct response cover letter that explains what's in it. So even if you don't remember what we said to you on the phone, it's going to start all over again when it arrives as a gift. It's a gift. It's our best what to do information for free, no obligation to use us. Genuine, right? And that when we offer that on the phone and Sally says, yes, sure, send it. She might say, well, what do you send to me? Well, I'm going to send you 5 or 6 properties that sold around you so you can see what the money was buying while you're on, what buyers were saying yes to. And I'd also like to send you a copy of our 7-step seller plan to help you sell it the next time. So I'm curating and organizing information and organizing it into an information product for the seller so that when it arrives, it's a what-to-do solution that doesn't require anybody if they really don't want to use anybody. I mean, I'm so willing to give that away. Why? Because it sounds like insanity. Well, all of a sudden, all these sellers are going to know what to do and they're not going to need us anymore. Really? Really? You think that many sellers are that savvy that even if we line up all the ducks for them, you still think in their emotional state to sell, especially the ones that are selling their primary residence, you think they know the ins and outs and the tactical how-tos? The tactical how-tos? The tactical how-tos? You think they know all that? First of all, they don't have a real estate license. Oh, well, they'll just go to somebody that throws it up on the MLS for $500. Yeah, well, great. Well, what happens when subtly they don't know how to price it right? Especially if the market's correcting and it's moving away from them. You think that's easy? Huh? So now all of a sudden, they're getting this information from us and they say yes on the phone. Now, folks, you can ask. You see it all over the internet. Gary Vaynerchuk was screaming about it, wrote a whole book, about the whole thing, but he was pithy and called it jab, 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 right hook, right? It's a give, 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 ask. So even if you just have a big give in the beginning and it's service, by the way, this is applicable to the buy side. Dude, this is not just the sell side. Sally, this is Danny Griffin calling from Griffin Realty Group. The reason I'm calling is because I noticed that you were using our website to search for properties. And I see that you're looking in Beacon Hill from $1 million to $2 million for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. May I make any changes to the criteria? Should I add any areas? Serve. Give. It's a fulfillment. Everybody else is just capturing, quote unquote, these leads. I heard a script today that was so ugly, I threw up in my mouth. Right? Figuratively. I was disgusted with it because it was under my watch in my group. And I'm like, whoa, what is that? Now, I know why it was being used. Okay. So to qualify it, it was being used because one of my clients has bought far too many whimsical internet buyer leads and was just trying to plow through and see if there was a heartbeat in any of them. But it's still not the right thing to do. The right thing to do is if we can outbound offer something, or there's an inbound lead and we can clarify what we offered them and serve, we have to serve first, folks. That's why your telemarketing stinks. That's why you're not converting more of these leads to prospects. I'm not saying that everybody has a real why they want to do it and a motivation level that's high enough inside the next 12 months to qualify as one of your prospects. That's a definition. But I'm saying the way you're speaking to them is chasing some of the real prospects away. I learned that a long time ago. Prospects pursued run away. You have to draw them in by doing the right thing. That's how you telemarket. So let me go back over this, okay? 4 reasons real estate agents are terrible telemarketers. I mean terrible, including me back in the day, because I just took it blindly and took it for what it was and muscled my way through. Number 1, they don't first choose an ideal avatar. They don't give any thought to who's an ideal seller or buyer for them. Second, they don't consider that avatar's problem. So if you're a buyer and you're looking on the internet, your problem is internet overload. Everything starts to look alike. If you're an expired, obviously you didn't sell it. A probate, you're overwhelmed. They all have a problem. Now, the solution to their problem is rooted in a generalized, okay, and this is the third thing agents don't do, a generalized creation of a what-to-do solution. So ultimately, once you get through the context of all buyers and all sellers, the same problem exists. They don't know what to do in what order. So you create a solution for the what to do, and that applies to all those contexts. So at least you're ready now when you make a telemarketing call to offer a solution. And lastly, now that it comes time to develop the script and they've done it correctly by choosing an avatar, thinking about the problem, creating a what-to-do solution, now you create a script that serves first. Hey, I noticed this happened to you, so I have this thing, right? So let me get it to you. Let me tweak it for you. Let me serve you. Oh, by the way, I'd like to ask you, why were you thinking about moving? So simple. So simple to solve this terrible problem in this industry. All right, let me summarize it this way. I'm passionate today, feeling it today. One of the most important skills that a real estate agent must develop is that of a telemarketer. However, like all things done correctly, you must have a well-thought-out strategy. A well-thought-out strategy or you end up with a failed effort. Yes, it's on us, folks, a failed effort if you don't have the right strategy. So the simple formula is, first, to define your ideal prospect. Second, consider the prospect's problem. Third, create a what-to-do solution or service. And then, and only then, fourth, create a script that gives first and asks second. I'm way too fired up about this. I'm telling you, because it works. I mean, please humor me. If you hear this particular podcast episode, it is a challenge for you to go to my YouTube channel for the Realty Classroom, or go to my Facebook page for the Realty Classroom, and go listen to me coach this stuff, and listen to the consumers, especially the first opening of giving, how rhetorically so many people say yes, or very quickly they open up why they're not good for you. Just so effective. Also, don't forget, of course, you can subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen. And that way you don't miss out on any of these insights each time we upload. And they come straight from my coaching program. It's the real deal, folks. We also broadcast, as I said, the live sales training calls on Facebook and YouTube every Friday at 1 o'clock EDT, Eastern Daylight Time. So remember, just go over there and turn on all those bells and whistles and channel notifications for the Realty Classroom, and you won't miss out on the reminders. We'd also appreciate it, of course, if you would share this content with other entrepreneurially spirited real estate agents, people just like you that are trying to get this right. Share it with them. Thanks for listening. But if you know me by listening to the podcast, or even if you don't, I sign off the same way every time, with a reminder that nobody's coming for you. Nobody. So go get to work on a plan for your own business, and we will see you in the next episode to help you do just that. Thanks again.